Hello, welcome back to Behind the Faders, the live sound channel. Today we finally get to mixing speech. Finally get to the desk. I want to show you how I approach mixing speech and my setup and my default EQ. I introduce you to one very helpful plugin when it comes to speech. And at the end I have an announcement to make, so stay tuned. First of all, the system. If let's say we have an event with unrehearsed speakers with unknown ability to talk to people through a microphone. So I think it's a pretty common setup. Now, even if an event is supposed to be a speech-only event, I will never EQ the entire system just for speech because clients are unpredictable. Yes, it may seem like there's only speech, but there might be like a last-minute decision to show a video with audio, or they want to play a certain song for motivation, or whatever it is. Things can always come up, so you have to be prepared. So what I'll do, I will send all my speech microphones down a subgroup, a mono subgroup, and that subgroup I will EQ for speech, meaning maybe clear out some muddiness up front, or find some difficult frequencies when it comes to feedback, that type of thing. And by the way, there will be, if I have it available, there will be one plugin on the subgroup. We'll come to that in a minute, but there will be no further processing, no dynamics, no polishing plugins, whatever it is. Because if things get difficult, you don't want any of that in your way, because you might need any last dB of headroom and gain before feedback. And everything that deals with compression or polishes something like an exciter or something, it all reduces your gain before feedback. Of course, on my channel, there will be a de-esser prepared and a compressor prepared, but the threshold will be wide open, so it doesn't do anything unless I introduce it to the signal. So when it comes to the EQ, I told you the goal is to come to a good result really quickly, and then any further processing you will do like subtle and slowly, so nobody can really hear that you're still working on it. So I developed an EQ setting that allows me to do so. So usual EQs that I see look maybe like this, or like this, or like this. Of course, I just made these up in actual EQ settings that I saw, but they make something like that. So these all look like they started from scratch, and it took them a little while to dial these EQs in. If I have a handheld mic to mix, I will probably start from scratch. I'll leave the EQ flat, give it a low cut, and start from there. That works just fine. But for everything else, for lectors mics, headsets, clip mics, that's my default EQ that I always use for speech. There's a low cut at 190 Hertz. That looks pretty drastic, but honestly, from a lectors mic or a clip mic, there's not a lot going on below that, at least nothing useful. For a headset, you might reduce that a little bit. Then I have a high cut. In this case, it's 6.7K. Also looks drastic, but it works. And you can, even if you have a really difficult room with a lot of potential of high frequency feedback, you can even reduce that down to like 5.0. Wrong here. You can reduce it down to like 5.6 or so. It will still work. We're still able to detect the S's and everything, but that would be then the most drastic setting. But now, here, I have this big bump around 500 Hertz, and most of the time to get to a good result quickly, all you have to do is you have to move around this filter a little, maybe reduce it a little, anything like that in this area. And that will most of the time give you a good result within seconds. And if after that you still hear problems like the voice is very harsh or very nasally, then you still have a few EQ bands available like this one that you then can introduce in a subtle way and slowly, so nobody can really hear that you're still working on the EQ. Okay, now let me tell you about one really useful plugin to go into that speech chain. Just a bit of history. Around 2016, 2017, a revolutionary hardware unit came onto the market, which was called the Cedar DNS8. Here's a little picture of it. It was very, very expensive. Actually, when it came out, it was around like €6,500 or so. And now, when I looked for this picture, uh, there's a price tag next to it saying it's close to €10,000 now. So, and this unit was not so expensive because of any components built into it. It was the algorithm that came with it. And the algorithm, of course, until this day is secret. Nobody knows what it does or how it works. But what it apparently does is it measures the incoming signal and it works out which part of that signal is a direct signal and what part of the signal is a reflection. So what it does with it is it dries out the room around the signal, and it does it all by itself. You have a learn button, and now all the room around your voice is gone. And that was pretty fantastic. I mean, you can make a headset sound like a handheld, and a clip mic sound like a headset. It was pretty amazing, but it was very expensive, and very few people had it. And there's also a plug-in version, the DNS1, but that's only for Pro Tools, and you can't just buy it. Why am I telling you this? There is one plugin, at least in the Yamaha world, I'm not sure if it's available anywhere else, which is called the Primary Source Expander, PSE. This thing has a different technology. It works in a different way, but it does something like the same thing. It's not as easy, but it's worth learning this plugin a little and fiddling with it and see how it works. And this would be the one plugin that's still sitting on my speech chain on my subgroup, because it really makes a difference. And that's already what I have to say about actually mixing speech. If you have further questions, please ask. If I forgot something, let me know in the comments. And if you like this kind of content, please subscribe to this channel, because most people watching this still are not subscribed. So that's it for now, but please stay tuned for a few seconds. I have a little announcement to make. Bye-bye. When I started this channel not too long ago, it was a kind of let's see what happens thing. And I was amazed by the response and by the growth of the channel, and also I was surprised by the amount of demand there obviously was for some guidance when it comes to live sound. So since I find it a lot of fun helping people, I decided I want to try something new in addition to my videos. I offer one-on-one coaching calls. So if you struggle with something, it might be technical, it might be mindset, it might be anything that has to do with live sound. There's an email address in the video description, and you can send me an email and we can set up like a phone call or a Zoom call and look into whatever your problem is. Thanks.